Good afternoon. I'm so glad that you're here. Today, I'm going to be talking to you about what it means to trust the process. Now, I've heard this phrase time and time again over the years, a million times, right? Trust the process. Trust the process. Oh, you're doing fine. Just trust the process. And I got it intellectually. Trust that things are going to work out okay. That's how I took it. But there was a part of me that kind of made a mistake in that, which was I was hearing people say, trust the process. And those people were successful already, right? They were sharing the trust the process from the place of already reaching their goals. They're looking back saying, oh, just you're going to do fine. Trust. And what I was looking at, they whether they shared it or not, I wasn't actually seeing the mistakes along the way, the like fails, the messiness, the just disaster of it along the way. So when I heard trust the process, the mistake that I made was thinking that when they did it, their process was smooth. Therefore, that's why they got success. Because I'm looking at my process and I'm like, it's a train wreck, right? My process is a mess. So I must be doing it wrong. I must be wrong. I must be not capable of doing it. That was my mistake, right? What the people were saying is no, trust the process. It's going to be a mess. But it's like when I was having a baby and just one person said, "Those first 2 months are a disaster." I looked at my husband and I was like, "Well, he's kind of negative, isn't he?" I just couldn't believe it. I just thought that wasn't the way it was supposed to be. So I just wasn't ready to hear that the process was a mess. So I'm going to tell you about what that's about, how to trust the mess of the process. Um, when I was making that mistake, I was missing the part where I believe that whether I'm a mess or not, I can also be a success. My mistake was looking at the roughness of my process and thinking I was doing it wrong. Thinking also that because I was doing it wrong, there was something probably innately wrong with me. Um, this is super valuable because when we think that a result that we have isn't good and we internalize that to think that we're not good, then that's a mistake, right? I can trip and fall. That doesn't mean I'm not a person who can walk down the road. It just means I fell. It means one time something happened and I lost my balance. It really has nothing to do with me. So that error is really important to note because you can easily find yourself there. I saw this connection in a very real way recently um, with my son. He got the chance to play around with a tennis racket and he was like, had a lot of fun. And so he was like, it would be great to do that more. So I thought, I'll sign him up for a tennis clinic. Those are the experts. They know all the ticks and tricks and the tips and the ways to make it easy. I'll sign him up for a clinic and he can learn from people who do that all day long, and that'll make it easier for him. He'll get the form better than I can do it because it's been literally a decade since I played tennis until that day. So my husband and I are watching him from the sidelines and we're like, oh my gosh, he's doing so great. Like we couldn't hear what the guy was telling the people in the clinic, but he was picking it up. The balls were going, some of them were crazy, but a lot of them were getting to the other side. We thought it was amazing. And he got off the court and just fell to pieces. He said, they all saw me fail. And we're like, fail? What, what does that even mean? You weren't playing a game. You got the ball over the net. But for him, I didn't realize when I signed him up for the clinic that it was he felt so much pressure to be in a group setting when he was learning. Um, but what I realized when he said they saw me fail is his frame of reference was all off. He didn't know the rules of tennis, but he also didn't know that he was doing a great job. He didn't know he's never watched a professional tennis match to see that the pros are hitting it into the net sometimes too. So he thought when you walk on the court, you hit the ball over the net. And if you don't hit the ball over the net, that's a fail. He just didn't know that everyone doesn't hit the ball over the net sometimes. That's tennis. That's the points, and that's part of it. So not only did he not trust the process of learning the form, learning the rules, learning the game, he just skipped the process. He went from I'm on the court, so I hit the ball over the net, and period, or I'm done. And I think he's not alone in this mistake. He's not alone in this like skipping the process. I should be good at it as soon as I start. How many times have you started a new habit and you get frustrated and quit because you don't practice 100% consistently the first week? How many times have you told yourself, you're thinking with enthusiasm, I'm going to go all in? But then it feels like a nightmare because you feel like if you mess up just a little bit, you've blown the whole thing and you're failing. So, in order to trust the process, you have to know the process looks like failing. It looks like you're totally lost. It looks like you don't know what to do. That is the process. What it doesn't look like, what is not the process, is thinking that you're going to fail so you don't try. What's not the process is assuming that being lost is wrong, and so you just stop moving at all. When you believe yourself, when you say, I don't know what to do, and so you just put the whole thing down. None of that is the process because that's not moving forward. When you take tiny steps, even little bitty baby ones, you're getting information, you're gaining intel. You're making decisions, you're moving forward, you're looking at the new perspective, you're gaining information, and maybe it's uncomfortable, maybe it's fine, maybe it goes well, maybe it doesn't, but you get to make decisions and you get to assess them. You get to see how they worked. You get to learn. When you aren't taking steps, and this is the really dangerous part, when you're not taking steps, then your brain gives you images of the worst case scenario. So, what happens when you get the worst case scenario? You think failure, it looks ugly, that's painful. What do we do when we're in pain? Number one, we soothe the pain. So, soothing a lot of times looks like eating. It looks like, I mean, and I don't mean just like eating breakfast when it's breakfast time, but overeating or over drinking, or maybe it's zoning out and you're overworking. Maybe it's zoning out and you're scrolling social media just endlessly, or, binge watching Netflix endlessly. And listen, again, I always want to say this. There's nothing wrong with Netflix. There's nothing wrong with social media. There's nothing wrong with food. There's nothing wrong with alcohol when you're consciously consuming. It's when you numb out, you go on autopilot, and you aren't even in it, that's dangerous. So going back to this not in action part, you're not taking steps. Your brain gives you the worst case scenario. You say, okay, well, I need to soothe the pain of this, and I need to stop creating more pain. I need to stop this action that creates the pain. I need to stop moving towards this goal. You stay stuck in that worst case scenario. This is so important. Because you're taking this instance where you think it's not going well, I feel lost, I don't know what to do, and you're saying those are indications that you should stop. I want to offer you that trusting the process means it's definitely going to be ugly along the way. That's perfect. It makes sense that when you think that you're failing, you would want to go the other way. But when you trust that you aren't actually failing, you aren't actually lost, you do actually have some ideas of what you should do, or at least what you could do, or like just brainstorm maybe, that you can figure some things out. You can make some guesses and you can see how they go. It makes sense that we associate the fun with getting it right. In school, when we make A's, when we get it right, it's just A's. It's just a pile of right answers. We're taught that A's are success. So it makes sense that we associate the fun with only with the success. But as you start looking at the process of it's kind of ugly and that's perfect, I'm on track, then you get to kind of have fun in the process. You get to start building a relationship with the steps, with the process. You know, in life, the grades we made are no longer relevant. It's the relationship you're having with what you're learning that's relevant. In life, in school, it's the A's for most schools, not all of them. So when you're trusting, when you're building a relationship with each step, I'm taking these little actions. How am I feeling? You notice what you're thinking. Okay, what am I thinking when I start to take action? Am I scared? Okay, that's a good sign. It means I'm in it. You know, how do I feel? Okay, I feel like really nervous. Okay, that's great. We can also call that excitement. Both are true. But you learn to realize the deepest relationship that you have is the relationship with you as you're taking these steps and learning. It doesn't mean that you're selfish or self-absorbed. It means you're going for a goal, you're trying to evolve, and you're learning about yourself. You're connecting with you. You're connecting with who you are and what it's going to take for you to get to that goal. How are you going to learn? How are you going to get through that fear? So here are the practical things that you can think about as you're trusting the process. Number one, believe that it's available for you. Trusting the process is success, the process, action, all of it is available for me. It's not just the magical unicorns that are getting to success. Number two, get ready and expect that it's going to look ugly. You're going to try things that don't work. You're going to feel lost. You're going to think that you don't know the answers. Perfect. You're figuring it out. You're taking action. You're making decisions. You're on your way to success. When you see those, you can say, oh, I see you're coming. I'm feeling lost. I knew you were on your way. That means I'm on the path. Number three, get to know yourself as you show up for these steps. As you're in these details, what's going through your mind? How are you feeling when those thoughts are rolling through your mind? Just notice them. Start to figure them out. Oh, when I'm afraid, I want to stop. When I don't stop, I no longer feel afraid. I start realizing what's happening and analyzing that. So then you get to know where you are in the process by getting to know yourself more deeply. As you begin to trust the process, What also starts to happen is you start to have fun in the process, in the ugly, in the loss, in all of that. It's not just the final win that's fun. Um, what I can do as a coach is I can help you learn to trust the process and trust yourself so that the process isn't this fear of I'm going to fail, I'm going to stop, and I'm going to sabotage it all along the way. It's getting to your goals, getting through that fear. So click on the link in my profile and book a free consultation. And let's together learn how you can get to your goals faster. I look forward to hearing from you, and I will see you next week.